All right, I think it's going to catch up, and then I'm not going to worry about it. It's going to be over in the back end. It's just going to be me and you and whoever else is out there in the world. Good morning, everyone. I am Reverend Michelle Scrimger Brown, and it is my pleasure to welcome you all here this Sunday and every Sunday. Here at the Spirit Healing Academy, we are an assembly of people who will teach each other to find the miracle of joyful living from life circumstance to accomplish that which seems impossible. It's just going to be me and you. Oh, out there in the world. That's weird. Good morning, I can hear everyone. I am Reverend Michelle Scrimger Brown. It is my pleasure to welcome you all here this Sunday. I don't think this is going to work, you guys. I'm going to have to turn off the playback over there. Right. Here. Okay, I just closed that because I shouldn't have to hear it too, right? That's weird. Anyway, the intention of these gatherings is to stimulate thought, create connection, and expand consciousness. And so I'm going to, because of that little mech up, I'm going to record here, okay? Now you know. I'm going to start here with our land acknowledgement because it is important for us to continue our journey towards reconciliation with the First Nation, Native, Métis, and Inuit people of Canada. As the journey towards reconciliation in Canada continues, and we strive to fulfill the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's calls to action, it's important that we continue to build relationships and engage in ongoing education. Reconciliation and allyship is a continuous process, and one that we all need to engage in fully. With this in mind, we must take every appropriate opportunity to acknowledge the traditional territory on which we reside. Acknowledging the traditional territory is one way to express our respect, gratitude, and appreciation for the Indigenous people who have inhabited and continue to live on the land we have taken from them. It is a recognition of their continued presence both in the past and present. Recognizing this helps to honor the trauma being separated from their land has created within their people and attempts to foster a safe environment where Indigenous people feel welcome to share their stories with us who are eager to listen. The Spirited Healing Academy is proud to acknowledge the lands and the people of the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation, which is covered under the Williams Treaty. We are situated on the traditional territories of the Mississaugas, a branch of the Greater Anishinaabeg Nation, which includes Algonquin, Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi. And so now I'm going to share my screen. I think everybody's on mute, and we can begin with our opening intention. May I come to understand that blessings are everywhere, that my attitude will affect outcomes, that challenges are often gifts in disguise. May I come to trust that most things can get better with time, that my instincts and gut feelings have value, and that a positive attitude makes things go smoother. May I come to see that I have many skills and talents I can use, that I am a positive influence on many people, that there are those who wish me well. May I come to value that today is a blessing to be enjoyed, that each person is unique and important, and that each moment of my life has meaning. Aren't you guys proud of me? I actually got the words right this time. I didn't throw in the around me. So this week, I picked a quote from my boyfriend, my internet boyfriend, Matt Kahn. I felt like we had maybe talked about it before, but I shot it over to Mervette, who seems to have the steel trap memory of our group here, who says, no, this is an awesome quote, and we haven't talked about it, but I'm going to use it for X, Y, and Z.
That's right. Don't forget that.
You are our living history, Mervette.
I'll take it.
So without further ado, let me take you over there and we'll have a look at that quote. Hello. There we go. Each facet of experience no matter how deeply we pray for its demise in exchange for a more preferable set of circumstances, cannot leave your field and return to source until it has fulfilled its divine role of assisting you in becoming more unconditionally loving than ever before.
Wow.
Yeah.
I feel like this inadvertently makes you think of like the worst times in your life, the worst things that have happened to you where you're like, oh, is this ever going to be over? And then
think of the worst things and you think inadvertently. Okay.
Yeah, I think of the worst times where you wish that it was over, that it would just be done with. And well, I don't understand, like, why can't I just have a smooth experience with my family at home or whatever it is?
Right.
Why can't this just succeed on the first try? That'd be amazing.
Like my friend who said this morning, I'm just so sick of these mind games, and talking about a relationship that she's trying to extricate herself from. Right.
Yeah. And then
You cannot leave that field and return to source until it's fulfilled its divine role in assisting her to become more unconditionally loving than ever before. I don't think she likes that answer, Mervat.
nobody does, Michelle.
I'm pretty
Nobody
sure
does.
you're right. Because you don't want it to be all about you. It's the other person.
Oh, that's an interesting statement.
Hello.
Oh, Susan, mind blowing. Can you expand?
I don't think she knows what we're freaking out about, though, Nancy.
What she just said. What Susan just said.
But that's the whole thing. It's when you're mired in some negative circumstance, you're not looking at your own responsibility and what you're stuck in. You're looking at and assigning the blame to the other person or people. If only they would stop doing whatever, then
Right.
I could,
Right.
Oh, damn, bringing it back to me, universe.
Why is it always my fault? Oh, wait, because it's really only me in this life. Damn it. Right, Mike?
Yes, you are the universe, and each experience that you go through is teaching you about unconditional love. And like Matt Kahn always says, and I think he titled a book after it, Love Whatever Arises.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
This reminds me of a person that used to be in my life who would infuriate me because they would refuse to see any kind of responsibility. It was always someone else's fault. And it's like, I can't help you, like I want to help you. But I'm realizing that, like they just were not in a place to see that at all. Not at all.
Okay. I'm glad you brought up an example. Okay. So what if that person was irritating the hell out of you so that you could love them more?
Well,
your job is not to fix it, not to show them the way out of the mud, just to love them sitting there in their own, in the pile of shit they've created for themselves.
I'm not going to lie. That is what happened. But like it ended up with distance, right? Like I don't feel ill towards you, but I like, I'm going to love you from over here. I don't hold resentment. I don't anything. Everything happened exactly the way it was meant to be.
Right.
And that was that. But like, they were on their own journey. Hopefully they have, woken up from that to try and actually get some kind of understanding that they're attracting their own reality. But I don't know, because that person is not in my life anymore. But yeah.
You know what I find, Mervet, it's kind of like they're in your life to help you wake up. Like, they might not wake up, but it's all about you. If they trigger you and do these things to wake you up, and that's kind of that's a gift. That's their gift to you. You might not.
I would totally agree. I mean, seeing that person, you love somebody so much, and then to come to that realization, for sure, took a long time.
Right.
But I feel like now I can almost come to it instantly with somebody else, because it could be that very same thing where it's okay, well, I think eventually you just realize you're on your own path, and these people are gonna come and hopefully stay, but if not, that's all right. And
I think they stay as long as you need them to stay. Like, sometimes that triggering at that part of your life woke you up to, a new you. Like, even where you are now, how much more conscious you are was based on that experience.
for sure.
But
And
I think, oops, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
No, Mervet.
I was just going to say, I talked to clients of mine about this very thing of, other people are going to do what they're going to do.
Yes.
And you can't stop them from hitting their mark. We talked about this ages ago. I don't know if you remember, Michelle, where,
we talk about this often.
Everybody needs to check their boxes, right? Like, and they can't get there until that whatever shoe drops, whatever thing happens where they're finally like, that's it, that was the thing. And I remember I waited for a really long time for that, and I was like, boom, whatever it was, that one day, that one thing happened, and I was like, oh my gosh, I just realized this isn't something that I can teach you. You're never going to hear me. This is your thing to like get,
right.
You're never going to understand me. And like, right from there, I could release it all. I was done. It was over, and it was that was it for me. There was nothing after that. I was just a massive realization. And no one could rush me. Everyone tried, trust me, but no one could make it happen.
Right. And their frustration is a result of trying to make you work at their pace, but you're working at your pace because you've got your list.
Right.
What were you going to say, Nancy?
Just that your quote a number of times, Michelle, you said other people's expectations are not my obligation.
Yeah.
And I think I have this person in my life who I don't, like my mother, she's coming to the end of her life. I don't wish to eliminate her from my life, but I realized something. I spent my whole life, well, it took me a long time to realize I was really internally raging at her because she didn't protect us as children. However, I had a realization about other people's obligations are not your expectation, are not your expectation. No. Other people's expectations are not your obligation. Well, lately, I've been looking at a lot of things that I've looked at. I've heard these new spiritual ideas, and I'm looking at them from my point of view. I've started flipping them, going, well, that means my expectations of her are not her obligation.
Yes.
And as a human being, I have to say, I don't connect with my mother. I love her dearly. She's very precious to me. But I am uncomfortable usually in a room with my mother. I'm uncomfortable talking to her on the telephone because she hates talking on the telephone. And I mean, I've kept at it every Sunday for years and years. And what I do is I realize, and time's running out. So now I'm panicking, going, oh my God, if I don't fix this relationship with my mother before she dies, I'm going to be all over again. And I keep
Right.
saying to the universe, I don't want to be in a
But let's
parent-child parent.
again. Let's look at this quote again, because maybe your relationship with your mother is fixed and is perfect right now.
Okay, each facet of experience, no matter how you well, what I've come to realize, you know what? This is going to amaze anyone who knows me. I don't think it has anything to do with her. I don't think it has anything to do with her. I think it's all got to do with me, you know, law of reflection. And it doesn't matter. She hasn't been the mother I would like to her to have been. But I heard something when I took a Lee Harris energy course in the last 2 weeks. And the thing the Z's channeled from the other side was, we freely chose to come here. And finally, I got that into my cells and went, oh, so that means I freely chose her as my mother.
Yes.
My soul knew what was going to happen. My soul knew why I came here. So it's really helping me release. So like I'm on the verge. I accomplished that with the other parent in my life, with that beam work I did with you, Michelle, just 2 weeks ago, which blew me away, where I came to the point where I said, I love his soul. I loathe everything he did and does to people on this planet, but I love his soul. I cannot believe those words came out of my mouth. So now it's like down to the next most traumatic person in my life, my mother. And I'm on the verge of realizing it has to do with me, and all my frustration is me creating the frustration within me.
And here's something for you to consider. You've said this many times to us, that your mom hates to be on the phone, and yet you call her every Sunday. So what if you just don't call her?
Well, I mean, after I talk to her for a few minutes, I end up talking to my brother, who's looking after her, and she's beginning to get dementia.
You could call your brother, but what if you just called your brother?
Well, my mother would be hurt.
You don't know that.
Well, no, I don't know that. I'm assuming I'm doing that.
And I was just thinking about you commenting at the start here that you've realized.
Oh, no, there's a reason I have to. No, there's a reason I have to.
Obligations.
Yeah.
And so I just throw it out there, man. Just to stir the pot.
But you know what? In my family situation, they don't have a recording machine. They don't have email. The only way, my brother never answers the phone because my father called for years and terrorized them. So my mother has to answer the phone. If my mother doesn't pick up the phone, I will never be able to talk to my brother. So Phil and I, it drives us insane. We've just come to accept it. So I just realized, why do I talk to my mother? Because she's the first one to answer the phone. And I'm not going to be rude and mean to her.
Of course not.
I ask, about her because I love her and I do want to know about her, and we haven't seen her for 2 years. So you know what I mean? So that's why. Anyway, that's off topic. But yes, this is a really excellent quote.
Consider me amazed.
Yeah.
Although maybe you should get your brother some call display so that he knows that it's you.
Well, he lives off my mother, so my mother's in control of the purse, so that's a whole nother journey. I'm not willing to take. Too old.
We don't need to go down and psychologize your family. So each facet of experience. So a relationship we talk about a lot in this group, because I'm the person who sort of mediates these conversations, is a situation with me and my father. So how do we apply this to that? I don't mean to stymie you all. I'm not asking you for solutions, right? I'm not asking you to fix it, but often we're able to make better sense of some of the spiritual topics that we discuss here when we have real life examples to draw from. And so that's why I'm voluntarily throwing myself up onto the altar of dissection.
I would just to step in, and I think it comes back to even what Nancy was saying, and I think Lee Harris was saying is basically, we chose to come here into whatever family situation we chose.
Yeah.
And we kind of made like a soul agreement with these people to play different roles. And some of the roles that other people chose would be roles that you would not personally want to take that role on, but maybe maybe at one time you did the opposite role that it's triggering you. So I would say this radical forgiveness is so important when you
Right.
really get the kind of the soul decision that we made to come here and have all these triggering experiences, and then to remember, kind of remember who you really are and how we're all one, we're all connected on another level. So
Right.
yeah, it's this evolving level of consciousness. And now the other tricky part is, how can you live that every day? Can you
Right.
like be in the same room with your mother or your father and be able to live it out, or does your ego want to
Well,
play
and that's kind of where
the
we're at,
role?
right?
Right.
So I don't think I have shared the most recent stuff. I mean, Mike, I've shared it with you because I saw you. Maybe you all know. I don't know. Anyway, in May, my father reached out to me again and wanted to start like rebuilding an active relationship. And at that time, the conversation did not go well over text. And so it shut down. And then he reached out again a few weeks later and started again wanting to rebuild the relationship. And it did not go well. And I shut it down. And what I've realized in these exchanges, and like, I feel like I'm okay to share this with all of you because this is my story and my mom already knows all about it. So it's not a secret with her. So I don't want you to feel like there's any kind of drama being unearthed. But what I've come to realize is that in the last few months of my life, I have known the greatest peace that I've ever known in the whole of my life.
Wow.
Yeah. And for me to entertain re-engaging with him, I feel like in any kind of way, certainly right now, would be sacrificing that peace and would be a deep betrayal of me. So each facet of this experience, no matter how deeply we pray for its demise, is here to show me how to deeper love myself.
Wow. 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 Wow.
Following along in your story, which isn't hard to do when you're here every week, I think that everyone can agree that like the different levels of uncovering of yourself, which you've been very forthcoming with, has been tremendous. That very thought process or discovery, how could you have gone here had none of that stuff happened?
Absolutely, I could not have. Absolutely not, right? Everything is the greatest catalyst for your next amazing step forward.
Yeah.
Everything you encounter. And it sucked.
Really?
I know, you can't relate at all, right, Mom? It's just been a walk in the park. Fountains of champagne and chocolate. I know, it's been a lot. It's been a lot. But what I've learned through this, and I think what you've learned too, Mom, is that we are worth fighting for.
Yeah. Well, we certainly are.
And you matter.
Oh my God. Can you say that one more time?
You matter, you matter, you matter.
Woo! I matter.
Yep. You matter so much. Without explanation. You matter without justifying yourself or explaining yourself or anything.
That's it.
I was not planning to get punched in all the feels, Nancy.
That's all right. Hannah Gadsby punched me in the feels when I
Oh my
listened
God,
to her.
she is amazing. Oh
She is amazing. And she said, your story matters. I burst into tears, started sobbing, and I went, and I remember Oprah saying years ago, everybody's looking for, all they want to hear is you matter. That's what it all comes down to. And that's been a message that's been coming back to me. So you guys, you matter, Susan matters, you matter, Mike matters, Ann matters, Mervette matters. Well, no, Mervette matters. I'm teasing her.
You matter, Nancy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that's what I'm realizing. I matter.
Yeah.
So anyway, we do. Yeah. I'm glad you shared your journey on this struggle, because I find when people give personal experiences, I learn more from people's personal experiences than than an hour discussion or a talk. I mean, of somebody just giving, this is what you should do, this is what you should do. And I like personal examples, because then I go, somebody else has suffered in this. This is what they did. This is what worked for them. I learned far more that way.
We call this the wisdom of lived experience.
Bingo.
Like to learn from the wisdom of lived experience.
And you know, the interesting thing is we all came down here as a divine spark of source to have unique experiences. Nobody was meant to be the same, as much as, you know, we try to like congregate in similar groups and things like that. And you know, we all stick together because we all think the same, but we are all supposed to have such unique experiences that the source could experience different things. And another thing is, like, every relationship you have is forever, no matter what is. And I think it was Abraham Hicks that said this somewhere, but you start thinking about wherever you leave that relationship, you've never left it. It's still going to go on forever. It can be an evolving thing. And the other thing I want to touch on before we close this out today is this unconditional love that really, I think, as a human being on this planet right now, I think we're not capable of unconditional love. It's like it's just something we're grasping for, but we cannot quite get there. There's so many unconscious
So I talk
conditions.
a lot about how enlightenment is a transient state. Like we get there, but we don't live there, because we're here to be experiencing the mud. Right. And we have these glimpses of it, or we talk about this a lot too when we discuss the law of grace, right? We have access to grace in the moments we choose it, but generally we don't. We choose to be here in the mud. And I think perhaps unconditional love is maybe the same.
Yeah, maybe we have a sense of what it maybe
because I feel like I do unconditionally love.
Me too.
Me too, with my husband. Yeah.
I don't know. I think your spouses are probably the hardest.
Conditions, though, right? Like if you can, as Nancy, you just said, if you can only unconditionally love your husband, then that's a conditional love. Because you can't give that same love to me or to your mom or to your neighbor.
You got me. You got me. That's great. Okay.
I'm just thinking about it. Like, I don't know if it's true or not, but as we're having this conversation, isn't that a condition?
Yeah. I'm just thinking, I love Philip unconditionally. I mean, we've been together 41 years and we love each other unconditionally. But I see what you're saying. If I love unconditionally as let's call it an action, but I don't feel it's an action, but let's call it an action, then I could do that with everybody.
Got
But I see what you're saying. My unconditional love for my husband only, and just is conditional.
Back to a whole deeper level. If you feel like you can only unconditionally love your husband, that explains why you struggle with unconditionally loving you so much, because you've set a condition that this is only available for Philip.
Yeah, but no. There are relatives I love, friends I love. So, it's just, I was just thinking, Mike said, I thought, I don't agree. Unconditionally loving. Yeah, I've managed that with my husband, and I love my cousins and aunts and uncles and blah, blah, blah. And I love my grandparents unconditionally. But I see what you're saying. You've given me the bigger perspective that's blown my mind. I will be pondering that over the coming week.
Interesting. It's interesting. Because I think you're right, Mike, that, we get to that human place. And the human is like, well, I love you. Like, Christians say, love the sinner, but hate the sin. I love the sinner. I love you. I don't love what you did. And I'm kind of giggling because I think, Nancy, that's what you were saying a few minutes ago when you had that big revelation with your father. But I don't think it's quite the same. I don't know. Now I'm like in a deep rabbit hole, you guys. I feel like I'm chasing my tail.
I think,
Yeah.
what happens is, when we come down here and we get into these family dynamics and you start putting labels on, that's my brother, my cousin, my father,
Right.
and my mother, and you have an expectation of that, and how, you're supposed, say, okay, I love them unconditionally, but you already put a label on them, and there's an expectation there that if maybe your husband left you, oh my God, now, like, or cheated on you or did something, like, would that affect your unconditional love? Or
Right.
like
there you go.
We're human beings, so of course it would, even though, like, we could sit here and theorize that, oh, we should just unconditionally love whatever is happening, but that's not the human experience. We're here to, like, mix it up and then maybe come back to that. Maybe you have to go through that mud to figure out, okay, well, I got to do some radical forgiveness and come back to unconditional love.
Very interesting to think about.
Here's sorry, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, it's just not easy.
Here's I forgot. This blew me away. I thought of this last week and I forgot to say it. I had the thought just at the beginning of our meeting, we are all one. Mike always says we're all one. And I went, yeah, I'm really getting that more and more. But I thought, I think we're all one, which means we are God, which means we already know everything. I had this mind-blowing concept that we already everybody knows everything. It's just covered up and buried and buried and buried. And that it's not. So I've never thought of being part of God, where if we're part of God and are God, in effect, if we're all one, then we already know everything God knows, even though Abraham Hicks says we're here on the leading edge to learn. I believe it inferring for the divine source energy. We're here to expand I don't know, I kind of got, we're all here to expand the wisdom of divine source energy in a way. We're on the leading edge. But I just had this thought that it's already all known, because time apparently is all happening, the past, present, and future is all happening at once. So I was just sitting there thinking, I just thought that, and I think it's, kind of, anyway, that was a mind-blowing thought that I had.
Think about it. Okay, let's take another look, one last look at this quote, and share whatever it is that comes up, okay? Each facet of experience, no matter how deeply we pray for its demise in exchange for a more preferable set of circumstances, cannot leave your field and return to source until it has fulfilled its divine role of assisting you in becoming more unconditionally loving than before. I've never thought about that part there in the middle that says, and return to source.
Yeah.
I would never in my life have thought of all of the garbage that I'm trying to just power through as something that goes back up into heaven, or that goes back to become a part of God. All the evil in the world, all the darkness.
Ooh. It has a role to play too. And I think I like the way it ends off here. And I didn't see that before, but it's becoming more unconditional loving. Like, maybe we're not 100% there, but we're working at becoming more unconditionally loving than before. Can we keep getting better than before? I hope we are. I see this group has really come a long ways. I think more unconditionally loving than we were, 2 years ago or 5 years ago or something, right?
Well, yeah, we're not the same people.
No.
We've been through a decade-long pandemic.
Sure feels that way.
Any last thoughts anybody else wants to chime in with? Aside from good topic, which I know you all think.
Right.
Well, that's my boy, Matty K, for y'all. Bringing the business and keeping it real.
Yeah, I like the way he keeps it simple when he says, love whatever arises. And again, you could write a whole book on that, but
his book is called Whatever Arises, Love That.
Oh, okay. I should quote him properly.
Yeah.
I quote myself the other way, but yeah, love whatever
Sorry, it's the
arises.
same thing.
Yeah.
Strange sentence construct, that's all. All right, well, let's I'm going to invite all y'all to mute yourselves, and we'll do our affirmation of hope. Okay. Hope, fragile, luminous, and buoyant, fill me now. Bring your gifts of optimism, faith, and positivity. Grow strong within me today and every day. Increase my connection with those around me. Balance my moods with a lightness of being, and touch all those I meet with blessings. Hope, fragile, luminous, and buoyant, fill me now. Humble and expand my heart with openness, making me compassionate, relaxed, and kind, aware of the many blessings I have each day, making of me a better, more human person. Hope is a gift that passes through me to others. And so it is. Have a beautiful week, my friends. Thank you for joining us. I love you. Oh, quick note. I will not be here next Sunday. There is no discussion next Sunday. I'm taking a vacation. So don't try and log on and be frustrated that I'm not here to let you in.
I wasn't clapping that you won't be here. I was clapping that, yes, it would be good to take a break, actually, because I never want to miss our meetings, but I could do with, so actually that I think sounds good for all of us.
Celebration with me for that.
Yes.
It's a divine schedule, and I want everybody to live an awakened life. I'll see you in 2 weeks, if not sooner.
Bye, everybody.